What do you get when you combine unlimited oil money, superstar players, and the Champions League? Absolute crushing disappointment. Welcome to the roller coaster that is Paris Saint-Germain in Europe's elite competition. I'm FB All Explained, and today we're diving into football's most expensive therapy session, PSG's dark history in the Champions League. They've spent over 1.5 billion euros on transfers since 2011, assembled teams that look like FIFA Ultimate Team cheat codes, and still no Champions League trophy. So strap in as we unpack the 10 most devastating chapters in PSG's European nightmare. From humiliating collapses to mind-boggling missed opportunities, let's go! Fact 1. The Qatar Sports Investments Takeover, 2011. In 2011, Qatar Sports Investments stormed into Paris like they were shopping at a luxury mall with no price tags. Their mission? Turn PSG into Europe's new superpower. The plan was simple: buy everyone, win everything, especially that shiny Champions League trophy. The numbers are staggering. Over 1.5 billion euros spent on transfers since 2011, making PSG the 5th highest spending club in football history over that period. PSG went from relative European nobodies to having a bank account that made Manchester City look like they were operating a lemonade stand. They splashed 82 million euros on their first marquee signings, Pastore, Gameiro, and others, quadrupling their previous transfer record in a single window. They signed Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Thiago Silva, and later Neymar and Mbappé for fees that made accountants worldwide faint simultaneously. But as we'll see, money can buy almost anything, except apparently Champions League success. Think money buys happiness? Think again. Let's take a detour to Barcelona, 2017, where PSG discovered that a 4-goal cushion has the structural integrity of a chocolate teapot in the Spanish sun. Fact 2. The Remontada Nightmare, 2017. Picture this. You're up 4-0 after the first leg against Barcelona. You're basically measuring the Champions League trophy for your cabinet. What could possibly go wrong? Everything. The answer is everything. March 8th, 2017. A date PSG fans try to forget like a bad hangover. Barcelona pulled off the impossible, winning 6-1 at the Camp Nou with 3 goals coming after the 88th minute. 6-1, the biggest comeback in Champions League history. Neymar, who'd later become PSG's most expensive signing, tormented them that night, orchestrating football's most expensive revenge plot before it even began. The term Remontada entered football's lexicon, and PSG entered football's Hall of Shame. Hold on to your overpriced jerseys, because if Barcelona was a nightmare, what happened in Manchester was the footballing equivalent of sleep paralysis with a demon sitting on your chest. Fact 3. The Manchester United Meltdown, 2019. After beating Manchester United 2-0 at Old Trafford, PSG just needed to not catastrophically implode at home. Simple, right? A controversial last-minute penalty. With United missing 10 first-team players and fielding a team that looked assembled from a Premier League yard sale, they somehow won 3-1 in Paris. The numbers tell a brutal story. United had just 32% possession, completed only 226 passes to PSG's 695, and managed just 4 shots on target, yet they scored 3 goals. The image of Neymar, injured and watching from the stands, looking like he was witnessing his house burn down while simultaneously getting a parking ticket, became an instant meme. From catastrophic collapses to superstar flops. Our next chapter explores what happens when you assemble football's most expensive attack and still can't score when it matters. Fact 4. The failed MSN experiment. Imagine having Messi, Neymar, and Mbappé in your team. That's like having 3 Ferraris in your garage, but forgetting to buy gas. On paper, this attack should have conquered Europe. In reality, they gave us more drama than football excellence. The numbers tell the brutal truth. In their one full season together, 2021 to 2022, the trio underperformed dramatically in the Champions League. Messi scored 5 total, but only 1 in the knockout rounds, and the trio's impact when it mattered was shockingly low. Between injuries, ego clashes, and tactical imbalances, PSG created perhaps the most expensive failed experiment since Icarus flew too close to the sun with wings made of oil money. The round of 16 exit to Real Madrid featured the trio creating a measly 0.7 XG in the decisive second leg, despite 57% possession. We need to talk about that Madrid meltdown in more detail, so grab your emotional support blanket, PSG fans. The Bernabeu breakdown is coming in hot. Fact 5. The Benzema 17-minute hat trick, 2022. Picture this, you're leading 2-0 on aggregate against Real Madrid with just 30 minutes left. Champagne's on ice. Then Karim Benzema decides to turn into a football terminator. 17 minutes. That's all it took, 3 Benzema goals. PSG went from planning quarterfinal travel to planning immediate evacuations from Paris. This wasn't just a comeback, this was football's equivalent of watching someone build a sandcastle for hours, only for a wave to wash it away in seconds. The underlying problem was clear, tactical naivety. Despite dominating possession, 53%, PSG's midfield structure collapsed under pressure. Their inability to control tempo when it mattered exposed the fundamental flaw in their squad construction, prioritizing attacking glamour over midfield stability. Mbappe's face told the whole story, the kind of expression that says, maybe I should join Real Madrid instead. With rumors swirling in 2024, Mbappé seemed destined to join Real Madrid, and he finally made the move in 2025. If the Madrid collapse was painful, wait until you see what happens when PSG actually gets close to lifting the trophy. Grab some tissues. We're revisiting the heartbreak of Lisbon. Fact 6. The final heartbreak, 2020. The stars finally aligned. Paris Saint-Germain reached their first ever Champions League final under Thomas Tuchel. Bayern Munich stood in their way, but surely this was their moment. Former PSG youth player Kingsley Coman, talk about adding insult to injury, scored the only goal, and PSG's billion-euro project fell at the final hurdle. The brutal truth, despite their attacking firepower, PSG managed just 3 shots on target, failing to seriously test Bayern. 3 shots on target? Neymar, Mbappé, Di Maria, and you fire blanks? That's like assembling the Avengers and losing to a guy with a spoon. The cameras captured Neymar crying at the final whistle, which perfectly summarized 2 things: how much the trophy meant to them and how difficult their Champions League journey had been. PSG had created 7.2 XG, expected goals, across their previous 2 knockout games, but managed just 0.6 XG when it mattered most. They got closer than ever to football heaven, only to be left staring through the gates. You might think the Qatar era has been a disaster, but dig this, PSG's Champions League trauma has deeper roots than their oil-rich soil. Let's rewind to the pre-money days. Fact 7. The pre-Qatar struggles. Before Qatar turned PSG into football's equivalent of a lottery winner, they weren't exactly European royalty. Between their founding in 1970 and the 2011 takeover, PSG managed exactly 1 Champions League semi-final appearance. 1. That's fewer than Monaco, Villarreal, and even Deportivo La Coruña. The numbers paint a stark picture. Just 11 Champions League European Cup qualifications in 41 years pre-takeover. Their all-time European record before 2011 stood at 52 wins, 40 draws, and 53 losses. Perfectly mediocre. Their most notable European achievement was winning the 1996 Cup Winners' Cup. RIP to that tournament. This historical mediocrity makes their current failures even more painful. They went from having no expectations to having all the expectations. Underperforming teams need scapegoats, and in PSG's case, their managers have been queuing up for the guillotine like it's the French Revolution all over again. Fact 8. The manager revolving door. If PSG's manager position had a TripAdvisor review, it would read, great pay, beautiful city, extremely short life expectancy. Since the Qatari takeover, PSG has churned through managers faster than Neymar changes hairstyles. 8 and 12 years, averaging just 1.5 seasons each. Let's review this Champions League graveyard. Carlo Ancelotti, out after a quarterfinal exit to Barcelona. Laurent Blanc, 3 consecutive quarterfinal eliminations before getting sacked. Unai Emery, orchestrated the Barcelona Remontada disaster and Manchester United humiliation. Thomas Tuchel, reached the final but fired months later after internal conflicts. Mauricio Pochettino, oversaw the Benzema hat-trick collapse against Real Madrid. Christophe Galtier, another round of 16 exit. Luis Enrique, extended the tradition of European disappointment. The club has spent approximately 58 million euros in managerial severance packages alone since 2011, enough to fund a decent League One club's entire annual budget. The only thing more predictable than PSG dominating League One is their coach getting fired after another Champions League disaster. The manager circus is just the appetizer. For the main course of catastrophe, let's examine PSG's talent for turning superstars into Champions League ghosts when it matters most. Fact 9. The superstar curse. It's one of football's strangest phenomena. World-class players arrive at PSG, immediately become lesser versions of themselves in the Champions League, then often leave and succeed elsewhere. The evidence is damning. Thiago Silva won the Champions League with Chelsea immediately after leaving PSG. Messi, 120 UCL goals for Barcelona, just 9 in 2 seasons at PSG. Neymar averaged 1 UCL knockout goal per season despite his €222 million price tag. Mbappé, from World Cup heroics to multiple decisive misses against Real Madrid. Edinson Cavani, PSG's all-time top scorer with 200 goals, but just 16 in the Champions League. And now Mbappé has completed the traditional PSG superstar arc, jumping ship to Real Madrid in 2024, surely destined to win multiple Champions League trophies there, while PSG continues its European misery tour. The club seems to possess a unique ability to assemble individual brilliance that somehow transforms into collective mediocrity when the Champions League anthem plays. It's like watching the Avengers assemble and then fight over who gets to be in the front row of the team photo. From tactical failures to star underperformance, all roads lead to our final and perhaps most devastating fact: the invisible opponent PSG can never overcome. Fact 10. The psychological scars. At this point, PSG doesn't just play against Champions League opponents, they play against their own demons. The statistics tell a haunting story. PSG has kept 0 clean sheets in their last 8 Champions League knockout matches. They've conceded multiple goals in 7 consecutive elimination games. When pressure mounts, their defensive structure collapses faster than cryptocurrency markets. The root cause? A fundamental imbalance in squad building. A staggering €1.5 billion transfer spend, with approximately 70% allocated to attacking talent and just 30% to defensive reinforcements. PSG's midfield, the engine room of any successful team, has been particularly neglected, creating a structural weakness that tactical band-aids can't fix. You can see the psychological fragility in their body language when things start going wrong in big European games. The "here we go again" syndrome kicks in. Players who never look nervous suddenly perform like they're wearing concrete boots. This psychological damage has become PSG's defining Champions League characteristic, creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. After their latest Champions League exit, one fan joked, "PSG's Champions League trophy cabinet sponsored by Copium." So there you have it, PSG's dark Champions League history. €1.5 billion spent since 2011, 28 major trophies domestically, 0 European Cups, and enough heartbreak to fill the send. Will they ever break the curse? Can any amount of money buy that elusive European glory? Or is PSG destined to be football's ultimate what-if story? The fundamental problem remains clear. You can't buy club culture, European pedigree, or mental fortitude. Until PSG addresses the structural imbalance in their squad and develops the psychological resilience needed for European success, their Champions League cabinet might remain as empty as their tactical discipline in big matches. If you enjoyed this roller coaster of football emotions, smash that like button like Benzema smashed PSG's dreams. Hit subscribe for more football deep dives, and tell me in the comments which Champions League failure hurt PSG the most. This is FB Explained signing off. Remember, in football as in life, money can't buy you happiness, or apparently a Champions League trophy.